Hi everyone, welcome back to the Rugby League History channel. Tonight, my video is going to be the top 5 PNG players of all time. Papua New Guinea is the only country in the world where Rugby League is the national sport, and they're fanatical about their Rugby League and they love every minute of it, and that was demonstrated at the World Cup this year and at previous tournaments. And tonight I'm going to be talking about their greatest ever players. For the list tonight, I'm only going to include players that are retired, so the likes of Alex Johnston, Reece Martin, Justin Olam, players like that won't be featured. I don't like to include current players on my greatest of all time list because their careers are still going and they're still going to achieve things in the future. So I'd rather focus on players that they've had their career, they've retired, and you can have a proper assessment of how their career went. With this list as well, it's in no particular order. This is just the top 5 greatest players in PNG's history as far as I'm concerned. So, starting off the list, the first player I'm going to be talking about is Marcus Bai. Marcus Bai played 254 games throughout his career for Hull FC, Gold Coast Chargers, Melbourne, Leeds and Bradford, and he scored 127 tries out there on the wing. He played 12 internationals for PNG. He was a Premiership winner with Melbourne in 1999. He won a title with Leeds in the Super League, and he was also a 3-time World Club Challenge winner. He represented PNG at the 1995 and 2000 World Cups. Marcus Bai was a class winger. I remember I was quite young when I first watched him play, and he was a winger that was always in the right place at the right time. He scored some very important tries on the wing throughout his career. I thought he was one of the real stars for PNG when I started watching Rugby League. He was one of the big names in their squad, and I thought overall he had a very good career, and especially over in England he had some really good matches for Leeds, and he also, as I just mentioned before, was part of that inaugural Premiership winning team with Melbourne in 1999. So Marcus Bai is the first player on the list tonight. The second player on the list tonight is Stanley Gene, or as I've read, it's actually pronounced Guinea. He had a very long career, which spanned from 1993 to 2010. He played 328 matches in his career, scored 184 tries. He represented PNG 16 times at the 1995, 2000 and 2008 World Cups. Throughout his career, he only won the one trophy, and that was for Bradford in 2006, the World Club Challenge. He played for a lot of clubs as well. He played for 2 clubs in PNG called Goroka and Leigh Bombers. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He also played for Hull KR, Hull FC, Huddersfield, Bradford and Halifax. So all the Yorkshire clubs pretty much. And he never played in the NRL. He spent his entire career over in England, but he's a player that's highly talked about amongst all PNG people. The third player on the list tonight is Neville Costigan. Played 193 matches throughout his career between 2003 to 2014. He played for Newcastle, Hull Kingston Rovers. He also played for Canberra, Brisbane and St George. He played for Queensland and Papua New Guinea 6 times. He won a premiership with St George in 2010, and he was also unlucky not to win a premiership with Brisbane in 2006, but an off-field incident meant that he was suspended from the club, and he didn't feature in that grand final, unfortunately for him. Neville Costigan, for me, was a very tough player. He could play a number of positions in the front row. I think he was a player that always gave his all. Off the field, he was a bit controversial. He did do 1 or 2 things off the field that weren't pretty good and affected his career a little bit. But I remember him mostly for his time at Brisbane and St George. He was very important in that St George team, which finally won their first premiership in 31 years, or 11 years if you count it as a joint venture. But he was a very good player, and he makes me list tonight. The fourth player on the list, this is one that I had to think about. I was torn between another player, but I decided to choose David Mead. He played between 2009 and 2022 for the Gold Coast, Brisbane and Catalan Dragons. He scored a hatful of tries throughout his career, well over 100 tries. I think when he left the Gold Coast, he were their record try scorer before Anthony Don took over. For PNG, he's their record try scorer. He played 15 matches for the Cummels and he scored 10 tries, so he's the record try scorer. He was a very good winger, I thought, and I think one thing that people will always remember him for is that try that he scored for the Gold Coast against Cronulla at Shark Park, where he scooped the ball up there. He had a very long career. He had some good moments, and I think that he deserves his spot on the list tonight. And last on the list, who else? Adrian Lam. He played 265 matches in his career between 1994 to 2004 for Eastern Suburbs and Wigan. Played 11 matches for PNG. He played 14 State of Origin matches for Queensland. Funnily enough, he only won one major trophy in his career, which was the 2002 Challenge Cup with Wigan. I think arguably he is PNG's greatest ever product or player. When he first joined Eastern Suburbs, they were a club that hadn't played the finals for 7 years. And as soon as he come in, along with Brad Fittler and some of the others, they become a very strong finals team in the late 90s and 2000s. He was very good when he played at Wigan as well. He made the Super League Dream Team, I think, 3 years in a row. When you actually looked at him, he didn't look like much, but he had a lot of skill. He was very deceptive. He was very good for Queensland. He was also quite unique at the time because back then there weren't too many players that played for Queensland or New South Wales that did not play for Australia, and he was one of the first ones because he never played for Australia, he just played for PNG. So that concludes my list of the top 5 greatest ever PNG players, but before I go, I thought I'd just put in an honourable mention because I was torn between putting this player or David Mead in there, but I'll give a mention to Paul Eaton. He played between 2006 and 2018 for Penrith, Cronulla, Wakefield Trinity, Leeds and the Catalan Dragons. He represented PNG 16 times between 2007 and 2017. He only won the one major trophy in his career, which was the 2014 Challenge Cup with Leeds, but he's a player that was a mainstay of the PNG squad for a very long time. He's highly talked about. I remember I posted about him once on my Rugby League History Facebook page, and there was hundreds of people that commented and from Leeds and from all the clubs that he played for and said that he were a class player and he were very good, especially at Leeds. At Leeds they love him. So Paul Eaton definitely deserves a mention tonight. But anyway, everyone, that concludes my list of the greatest ever PNG players. I know that if I were going to include current players, I'd probably have to make a top 10 or a top 15 because there's a lot of current PNG players that are very good, and I think once they finish their careers, they'll probably overtake some of the players on this list, especially the likes of Alex Johnston and Justin Olam. But this list, it was difficult to put together because PNG's produced a lot of talent, especially over the last 20 years, and they're a team that's getting better. They made the quarterfinals of the World Cup again this time, and maybe in 2025 they might go to the next level. We'll just have to wait and see in France in 2025. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, everyone. If you did, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know who you thought should have made the list and who shouldn't have made the list. I'll probably be doing another video like this in the future. I might do Fiji or one of those clubs, or countries I should say. But stay tuned for some more videos coming out very shortly, especially the World Cup final review on Saturday. Anyways, this has been Rugby League History. Tatty bye for now.